Okay, shalom, shalom, kwam yashala, kol haloyimla, Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, Bahashim, Rachach Wadash. Double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well, that by the Spirit taught us his beautiful truth, and just want to say the water to all the H.I.M and Akwaf that's out here sincerely keeping the law, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai to the best of their ability. Zachanan the Waf just coming at you with another quick lesson, praying that it's edifying by the Spirit. And just wanted to go off into seed line, that your seed line goes by your dad. Whatever your dad is, that's exactly what you are. It doesn't make no difference how you look, because there are people out here that look like this so-called white lady right here that's actually so-called Negroes, because the men of our nation have mingled with the women of the other nations. And as generations go on, sometimes, the melanin is lost, so to speak, or the look is lost, and our people go to looking like another nation. But that seed line goes by the dad. It doesn't matter what they look like. They're still going to be whatever that dad is, or granddad, or great-great-granddad, or great-great-great, and it goes on and on and on. So I seen this and I found it to be interesting. I was just watching the brother, I think it's GMS, it's one of the brothers. I can't think of the name of his hookup, but he was doing something similar. He was doing a video on Patrick Mahomes, his dad, how his dad was with a so-called white woman, and he came out looking really, really light-skinned. Now he's married a so-called white woman, and their newborn baby, or their new baby, little girl, she looks like a so-called white girl, but in the meanwhile, she would be a so-called black girl. You see? But anyway, let's get some of this though, because it's real interesting. It's about a 10-minute video with Megan Kelly. I wanted to kind of back it up. But matter of fact, let me bring it to the beginning so you can kind of get a little bit of what was going on. And I'm not using this for monetary value. This is, I'm just using it for educational purposes only. And this is not for monetary value at all. So, I'm just gonna go into it, play some of it, get a little bit of backdrop on what she's saying about her mother. Because this lady right here, what she's saying is her mom passed as a so-called white woman and married a so-called white man. And come to find out, her mom was an actual Negro. But let's get some of it.
Suspected. Gail Lucasa could not have predicted what she would discover when she decided to dig into her mother's mysterious past. Watch.
This is my mom and dad. And as far as I know, my father went to his grave never knowing my mom's secret. My parents met during World War II. My mom was an absolutely stunningly beautiful woman. My dad, he had a great sense of humor. He served in the Pacific. He was very proud of that.
In 1944, after the war, Harold Kalina married Elvira Frederick. They settled in a working-class neighborhood in Parma, Ohio. In 1946, their daughter Gail was born. Throughout her childhood, Gail says her mother mystified her in some ways.
She was very meticulous about her makeup. She would wear a light foundation makeup to bed at night, which I thought was a little strange. She would never go out in the sun unless she had a wide brim hat. She would cover her hands with gloves. Really didn't like to be in the sun.
But Gail says the biggest mystery was her mother's selective memory when talking about her own father, Azimar Frederick.
I said, Mom, when was he born? When did he die? Oh, I don't know. I can't remember.
Growing up, Gail never saw one.
Okay, so it goes off into, how she never, so what this lady done was she went, to, like I think whatever it is, the county where you can go and look up family records and things of that nature. So that's what she ended up doing. Come to find out, she ended up ordering a birth certificate, supposedly of, and she done it. And once she got it back, it basically, it said colored on it. And some of the other stuff that she was looking up, it said black on it, so to speak. So let's move into the video just a little bit more. Well, matter of fact, this is where she, she was kind of going across the ledger. She kept seeing the letter B, and it meant black. Then she wanted to know what it was. She was writing the, the state, whatever. She got a birth certificate, and then it said, it had COL on there, which just was short for color. And they sent her an official letter letting her know that that's what that meant, because she didn't know. And then, because her mom tuck this shit all the way to the grave, man. But anyway, let's get to this. I wanted to get to this point about here. Let's see.
I did. I told her I'd found her birth certificate. It said colored. And she became very...
It took you 2 years, but you finally sat down with her. You knew it had to be face to face.
Yes. Why has she never said anything to me?
We're joined now by Gail Lukasik, who has written about her mother's secret past in a new book, White Like Her. Welcome, Gail.
Thank you very much.
Great to see you here. So you did finally work up the nerve to ask your mother about this birth certificate. It took you 2 years, but you finally sat down with her. You knew it had to be face to face.
Yes, it had to be. This is not a conversation you have on the telephone.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you asked her why she's listed as, quote, colored on the birth certificate.
I did. I told her I'd found her birth certificate. It said colored. And she became very indignant with me. And she said, I don't know what birth certificate you have, but mine says I'm white. So I thought, well, wait a minute. So I said, Mom, I have some other documents that I could show you. The census records, your father's listed as black. And I have a letter from the state of Louisiana saying that COL means colored. Well, she got very quiet, very quiet. And she's sitting in this large chair, and it almost seemed like the chair was swallowing her because she got very small. And she looked at me and she said, you have to promise me you will never tell anyone until after I die. And then she said, because how will I hold my head up with my friends if they know?
Wow.
Yeah.
What year was that?
That was 1997 when I confronted her.
No, this right here just shows you an example of how bad so-called Negroes did not want to be Negroes because it was just so hard on our people. It was easier to pass as a so-called white person if you had that color, man. And a lot of our men, our forefathers or whatever, our ancestors, they were so-called black men, but they looked like this lady, and they was able to get a pass. But those men were Israelites, and they was having sex. They will marry a white woman. That color was gone when it straight came down to it. That so-called white-looking black guy would have sex with a so-called white woman. That baby would come in, looking like a so-called white baby. Now, sometimes it reverse. It'll pop back on you. A good thing, or luckily, this lady didn't turn out with some color to her, because she could have, because that gene can jump off like that, from the so-called blacks. But there are plenty of people out here, especially back then, that passed for so-called white men and women. But like I said, the seed line goes by your dad. So those so-called white-looking black men that had sex with those white women, and if they had a son, he turned out to be so-called white looking, and he got married to a so-called white woman. You get what I'm saying? Within 2 to 3 generations, that color is all gone. Next thing you know, you got a nigga out here looking like Joe Biden or a damn Donald Trump. It's so-called it's Israelites that look like that. So-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans that mixed and mingled with these women of the other nations, and our people have pretty much, kind of like, and we look like Chinese people, Japanese people, Cambodians, Philippines, you name it. Jake is everywhere. And the Lord said that he was going to scatter us through the 4 corners of the earth, man. So this is it's biblical, man. And you got these Israelites that's out here running around talking about Negro only, when they ass is light-skinned. They 2 shades from being a white man themselves, talking about Negro only Israelites, man. If you hear anybody talking like that, man, out of these Israelite camps, just get away from them, man, because they're going off. They don't have the spirit on them, man, to really understand that this right here is a thing, man. That's when you go to, hey, this is scriptural, man. Let's get a little more.
So she had spent her adult life passing.
Yes.
A term you use in the book. Can you tell the audience what that is?
She was passing for white. My mother, if you look at the photographs of her, she visually does look white. But on her, her birth certificate and the census record, she's listed as colored or black. So when she decided to marry my father, who, by the way, is white, she moved north to Ohio. And from that moment on, she took on the white race that she passed. She went from being designated black to being designated white.
You write in the book about that moment you saw COL and understood that to mean, quote, colored, and write about it as the day I found out I wasn't who I thought I was.
Yes.
What did you go through upon this realization?
You know, the initial discovery was 1995 when I was at the Family History Center. I always think about this. I walked into that Family History Center, a white woman, totally convinced I was a white woman. And I walked out of there and I didn't know what I was. I didn't know if I was mixed race. I didn't know if I was black, if I was still white. I had no idea. It was shocking to me. You know, it's like finding out you're another person and you didn't know.
Right. And your mom is another person. I know.
Okay, so, you know, we could kind of clip it there. But what she said was when she went in, now she's confused about who she is and don't know who she is. But if her dad is really a so-called white man, then she's an Edomite. And she's going directly into slavery in the kingdom. And her mother is an Israelite. She will be a part of the Israelites, the righteous nation, man. You know? Now, whether she's a part of the elect, who knows? You know what I'm saying? But in the meanwhile, she's going to be, you know, a part of the top race regardless. You know what I'm saying? Because our seed line is going to come back through the elect. And her daughter, who knows? She may be able to say, you know, hey, you know, that's my daughter. You know, I don't want her to be a slave like all the rest of them, or, you know, she could be a lord, you know, who knows? Well, you know, she'll be a slave to me or something. But this lady is going into captivity along with this lady in the red hookup that's doing the interview. Because I remember her, she was on TV talking about how Jesus is white, just like Santa Claus is white, or some crazy crap. You know what I'm saying? So she ended up leaving that show. But like I said again, this lady is going into slavery. If her dad is really a so-called white man, him and her going into slavery. And like I said again, their mom is gonna be, you know, a part of the Israelite community, man. Now whether she's gonna be higher up in the nation, we don't know. She could have been a part of the elect, or maybe not. She could have, you know, just passed away just being an Israelite and not really knowing she's an Israelite, because, you know, a lot of our people just black, colored. Those are not nationalities, man. But let's go into the scriptures. What up with you? Let me go into this real quick. I just done a lesson on this the other day. But, you know, it's always good to bring stuff like this out because it's edifying. Because when I first came into this truth, man, I just thought it was just something that I never heard before. And it makes all the sense that your seed line goes by your dad, man. Because he carries the seed in his ball sack. Come on. I mean, when you think it's seed, is seed, man. Whatever seed is, that's what the fruit gonna be, man. The woman is just somewhat of an incubator. She's somewhat, you know, a earth, Mother Earth. You know what they call the woman, Mother Earth. You know, that seed is planted into that ground. That's why you got a husband. Husbandry is like a farmer, basically. That goes into, you know, plowing. And what the man does is he plows into that woman and he puts seed into her. You see? It's just, it makes all the sense. But let's get Numbers chapter 1 and verse, I'll start from the top here, verse 1. And Yahweh spake unto Moses in the wilderness of Sinai in the tabernacle of the congregation on the first day of the second month in the second year after they were come out of the land of Egypt, saying, Take ye the sum of all the congregation of the children of Israel, which are you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. That's your biblical nationality. You're not the names that your colonizers gave you that made you so ashamed that you would do what this lady done, man. Just ashamed of melanin. Didn't want to go in the sun. Didn't want to, you know, turn her natural color in the summertime, you know. This is how fucked up these people done us, man. I seen another video earlier this morning with, I want to say the tribe of Simeon. It was a young lady, you know, and she was talking about how her grandparents was taught to basically, you know, bleach the skin and get rid of the color and straighten your hair and look as white as you can. Try and marry a lighter skinned person or a white person if you could to diminish your color. This is what the so-called white man done to us, man. That's how horrible it was to be a so-called black person. And still to this day, you know, a lot of our people, man, you got the women running around with the blue eyes, green eyes, fucking blonde hair, and they damn blonde ass wig. They don't want to be their natural selves, man. I mean, we coming up, son. you know what I'm saying, as a people, but still, hey, it was hard times back then, though, man. If you could pull off being so-called white, it was a movie like that, too. I can't think of the name of it. It was a good-ass movie, too. Old black and white movie back in the days. But anyway, let's get on verse 2 again. Take ye the sum of all the congregation of the children of Israel, after their families, by the house of their fathers. See that? With the number of their names, every male by their polls. And this is how the family line went back then. And it's still that way to this very day. The Lord hasn't changed this. The Lord is not the author of confusion. The so-called white man gave you these words like biracial, mixed, multiracial, and all this other shit. That's not what it is. You are what your dad is. And it's that simple because, like I said, you're the seed of your dad. And as time goes on, like I said, you know, people lose the color, they lose the look of their father. But, you know, hey, it's plenty of people out here that look like other races that are actually so-called Negroes. Verse 3, from 20 years old and upward, all that are able to go forth to war in Israel, thou and Aaron shall number them by their armies. And this was the army. And this right here lets you know that women being in the army is going off. One no damn women in the armies back then. Now you got women jumping out of helicopters and all kinds of silly shit. They police officers, the cops, and all just craziness, man. That's Esau Edom's kingdom. No, this is the Babylon. That's why this place is called Babylon the Great. It's a place of confusion. Everything, the up is down in this place. Bitter is sweet. The woman is a man. The man is a woman. The damn adults are children. The children are adults. Wickedness, man. Verse 4. And with you there shall be a man, see, of every tribe, every one, head of the house of his fathers. This is how the seed line goes. That's why when you go into the book of Matthew and you get the genealogy of the Lord, Yahushua, which the world ignorantly calls Jesus, it's all men being named off. It's all men. That's how your family line went. There's women in the scriptures. Women are very important. But the seed goes by the father, man. And that's just the way that it is. But the so-called white man, and especially those small hatters of 1948ers that's over in the Holy Land claiming to be the people, they go by their mother. And that don't even make no sense. It says, and these are the names of the men that shall stand with you of the tribe of Reuben. See? And it goes off into the tribes from there. Of Simeon, Judah, Issachar. So these are the 12 tribes of Israel that all come from our forefather Jacob, which his name was changed to Israel or Yashala, Prince of the Power, you know, in Hebrew. And these were his 12 sons. It's not naming off no women, man. And that's all the genealogies. You can go all the way through the scriptures. You're going to see the genealogy of nothing but overall men. I got to say at least 99.9% men are being named off every single time, man. Like I said, you'll see some women's names pop up here and there. You know, like you'll see Rebecca, Leah, you know, the mothers of the 12 tribes, so to speak. You know, you got Mary, you got Deborah, you got Judith. If you're going into the book of Apocrypha, you got Ruth. You know, but Ruth was a Ammonite, if I'm not, yeah, Ammonite. But you know, like, you know, you go into the New Testament, you got Elizabeth, you got Mary Magdalene. You know, it's women's names in there, but it's not nowhere near as many women names as it is so-called men names in there. And those are the Israelites, man. So I just wanted to just touch on this and just, you know, because this is something that a lot of our people don't know, because I didn't know it when I first came into this truth. I had never heard of anything like that in a Christian church, man. Never. They're not going to tell you the real truth in there, man. They'll tell you we're all one, and that's not true. That's not true, man. All nations are different. The Lord created all nations differently, and he chose the children of Israel, you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, for his portion. He got a portion out of the nations. You see? That's just like you got the cats in the jungle, so to speak. You got jaguars, leopards, panthers, lions, cheetahs, Bengals, all kinds of cats. Now, they're big cats, but they're not all the same, and they don't hang out together. They're just like all types of birds. You got sparrows, hawks, robins, cardinals, bluebird, whatever, man. They don't hang out together, but they're all birds. See what I'm saying? So the Lord, that's the way he created all things. You got all kinds of trees. Plum tree, apple tree, oak tree, cedar tree. You see what I'm saying? All those trees are in the tree family, but they're not the same. And they don't grow together. You see what I'm saying? And that goes on, with so many other things. Fruit trees, And that's the Lord created it the same way with people. So-called Chinese people. They hang to themselves. They live in their own communities. Even in the Americas, right? You got every nation of people here in the Americas, but all those people live amongst themselves. They don't really mix and mingle amongst everybody else like that unless they fall on hard times. That's the only time you'll see any other nation of people within the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans neighborhood is if they fall on hard times and their money is low, they'll come and live in the cheaper areas with us. But you best believe if they ever get their money up, they're getting the hell away from you. The so-called Japanese. So everybody, they live in their own communities, man. They're not just, though they're all together in this country, they're still separated because that's the spirit that the Lord placed on all the people like that, man. It wasn't meant for us to all be bundled up on top of each other, man. That Nimrod spirit, that Tower of Babel spirit, that one world order spirit, where everybody is just one. No, man, we're not the same as these people. We're above them. You so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, you are a special people. Let me end out with that. Deuteronomy 7:6. You're above these people. Now we're at the lowest state as of yet right now because we sinned against our Lord, man. We broke the law, statutes, and commandments. We started worshiping false gods and doing all this other stuff. So the curses of Deuteronomy chapter 28 fell on us, but he's coming back to get us and to put us back in our rightful order. And we're going to be above these nations like we used to be because we were at one point, but they won't tell you that. Deuteronomy 7:6. For thou art an holy people unto Yahweh thy power. The Lord Yahweh thy power hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself above all people that are upon the face of the earth. See, he chose us as a special people above all the other nations. Matter of fact, let me get this. Let me see. How is it worded? It's another scripture. Because we're the Lord's portion, man. Let's see if the scripture will pop up. Salakia. Trying to find this one. Let me put another word in. I can't think I was worded. I was probably close to it too. But the Lord, he let me put in this. I'm trying to think how the thing was worded. But he separated us and chose us, man. But the point is there, man. Because you can get this. It's Deuteronomy 7:6. It's also in Deuteronomy 14:2. A bunch of other verses, man. The Lord chose the children of Israel as his portion. And he separated the nations. It's always been that way. That actually happened with the Tower of Babel. When Nimrod was trying to, have everybody together. That's the reason why the Lord gave us all those different languages. And separated us where, the nations couldn't understand themselves. But Hebrew, that original Hebrew was still in the earth, though. So, like I said again, the Lord, he never meant for us to be all together like how the so-called white man is trying to gather everybody together. Now they got this universal church shit where they building this church I forgot where it's at, but it's supposed to be Muslim, a synagogue, and a Christian church all in one. Universal, some crap. But no, hey, we're not to be worshiping any of that, man. We're the children of Israel. Our power is Yahweh, and our Savior is Yahweh Shai, man. So with that, hey, I pray that the lesson was edifying. You know, this is something that's a lot of people don't really know. They don't understand that the seed line goes by the father. There's no such thing as biracial, multiracial, and mixed and all that other shit. And our people are real proud when it comes to that. Oh, I'm German, I'm /Irish, I got a little bit of Jamaican in me, and I'm Japanese, I'm 12 people. You're like, the hell out of here, man. You're only what your dad is, man. Whatever your dad is, no matter what he looked like, that's exactly what you are. So with that, Kwam Yashala.